right, marketers, grab your overpriced standing desks and that oat milk latte you love so much, because welcome to Notorious B2B, the only show where we treat LinkedIn drama like breaking news and expose the real B2B marketing sins.
Yeah, think of us like SNL meets TMZ, but for the people who argue about whether gated content is still a thing or not. I'm Task Bober, B2B landing page nerd and lovable troll on LinkedIn.
And I'm Tim Davidson, the guy making TikTok-style videos and cutting fruit on LinkedIn. Together, we're cutting out nonsense and roasting the most ridiculous trends in B2B marketing.
Because if we have to suffer through another 10 things getting engaged taught me about B2B sales, we're taking you all down with us.
Let's get into it.
Hey, everybody. We don't have a docket today.
We got a good topic today.
We got a good topic, and so we don't need the docket.
No docket. Clay, common room, chaos.
Yes. How many people sent this to us?
Okay, I think you said you had like 4 or 5. I had 2 people send it to me separately, which is a big deal because no one sends me anything unless it's in a group with you. So that's big. It's like 200% more.
That's pretty good. I mean, usually people do not send you stuff. I don't know why.
Too. Text messages.
You got text? Oh yeah, we did get text too.
No, I was in a couple. You always get text, but I don't get text. All right, Linda Leon.
I don't think that's how you say it. Okay. Linda Leon, CEO and co-founder at Common Room. And she posted this a day ago as of May 29th. She goes, Clay recently blocked Common Room from sponsoring an event. We were the only
both, by the way.
Tagging both. We were the only vendor they targeted. At first, I was genuinely confused. Our products are incredibly different. In fact, there are lots of industry-leading orgs, Notion, Rippling, Incident, that use us both. Typically, those companies use Clay for specialized enrichment purposes and Common Room for person-level enrichment and ID resolution, AI research and messaging, signal-based outbound, and ABM. That is a lot. Anyway, in my mind, there's always been a great better together story to tell about our products. But if I had to guess why Clay seems threatened, it would be this. We have fundamentally different views about what the future of go-to-market looks like. We see a future where technology makes complex GTM workstreams simple, not one where technology makes simple data capture complex. I read this like a few times when I first saw this post and I was like, I don't know what this means.
And we believe in bringing teams together around a shared customer and business goal. And the GTM architecture is not the niche capability of a solo GTM engineer or agency. A lot of babble here, by the way, as you mentioned. We don't believe enrichment is the end game. We believe it's table stakes. That's why we offer fully automated identity resolution and waterfall enrichment for every person and company right out of the box with transparent per person pricing. Okay, why does it sound like every time we read these, there's a pitch in there?
Yes.
For every single topic, there's a pitch.
I know.
It's like, oh my, just calm down. It's for the ops leaders that need to spend more time building plays that drive pipeline and less time doing data engineering or worrying about credit costs. Yada, yada. She's just comparing Clay and Common Room and why they're different. And even though Clay literally just put out something about signals. So they're very similar. Maybe not the most similar, but they're very similar. All that to say, let's go down to the good stuff here.
The good stuff. So at the bottom, she says, if you want to pay for, manage, and rig up your own enrichment waterfall, you can use Clay. Either way, Common Room will help you orchestrate and activate your data, whatever. So yeah, lots of kind of taking a jab at them / sales pitch for them / starting shit up because of the sponsorship thing.
It's all sales pitch. The first line is what matters.
Yes.
She thinks this event stopped them from sponsoring it because Clay came in and they decided to be the sponsor. Yeah.
Swooped. Now, Jen.
This is where it gets good.
Igartua.
She's the CEO of GoNimbly, the Common Room CEO did not mention the
event,
what the event was, but CEO of GoNimbly is putting on an event called RevFest, which it turns out it's about her event.
Okay, I'm going to read it. Okay. She says,
you have to yell for the first 3.
Yeah. This is misleading. This is about RevFest and not how it happened. Linda, we had a lovely conversation about this last week. Clay, tagged, did not spend a lot of money to block you out of RevFest. Clay did give me a lot of money to be the marquee sponsor. The sponsorship level comes with category exclusivity. Therefore, I did not have a conversation with your team about sponsoring the event. Someone from your team reached out and I said, we already have Clay, so you cannot sponsor. Please do not misrepresent things for a viral post. Want to take this down?
She didn't, by the way.
She didn't, because we
Screenshotted it just in case.
just shredded it. Obviously, 145 reactions on this comment, which is about half of what the post actually got. So many people commenting on there saying, hey, it's incredibly misleading. Yeah, a head of GTM ops at default said category exclusivity is not even remotely the same as what is being described in this post. So this person is supporting.
Not even close.
Not even
and by
close.
the way, all events do that.
Yes. Yeah. And then she said, well, if you're going to do this, at least plug Go Nimbly and RevFest. Haha. And there's a bunch of stuff, through here with different, what did Chili Piper say? We will now exercise our first sponsor signed up authority to block Nike from sponsoring. So everybody's just like kind of, jumping on the bandwagon here.
Yeah. Getting some tags for Notorious B2B.
Yeah, and people saying, hey, are you guys going to cover this the next episode? We obviously felt like we had to because everybody did. I don't know if you want to go through any of these comments. LinkedIn loves to not put them in order.
Yeah. Do the see previous replies and see if the co-founder responded. That's what I care about right now. Oh, she did. Boom.
Yes. So Linda then responds and she goes, didn't mean to misconstrue with my semantics, edited the header for accuracy. My takeaway from our meeting was Clay said no to us being there. Big fan of the event still. And Jen goes, what did you edit? Because the post looks exactly the same. And no response. So people will
actually go back up.
Yeah.
All the way back up to the post, see if it says that it edited.
Edit it. Yep. So she did edit it, but she's still confused as to what was edited. Obviously, this was people like popcorn. We're going to go down in the books for how to play the game.
Here's a signal.
Here's a signal. So much drama on B2B SaaS lately that I've canceled all my other streaming subscriptions. That is like, maybe do you think that it's happening around us starting this podcast? Do you think we're the reason that drama's starting?
Well,
in SaaS?
I mean, so probably because if you think about every superhero movie, there's like the whole thing of, do we need the superheroes? Because superheroes are actually the ones that bring in the bad, evil people because they're, they can be fucked with.
Yeah.
I think that's us.
That's us.
We're the superheroes that bring in bad people. If we didn't have us, there's no drama.
And that's a good segue into us bringing in the people, right?
And we have Pep.
We have a special guest, and we run him through some old Notorious B2B comments. But the background is when we had posted all about event applications and things of that nature, Pep had DM'd me and was like, I want to give my opinion on this. And I said, cool. Do you want to come do it on the podcast? And after a lot of scheduling nightmares, because he's a very busy guy, he was here. And now we go into it.
But we didn't kind of tie the bow here. What do you think about, was it just a post to go viral? You think the comment?
I think that there was a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
She heard what she wanted to hear, decided to make a post about it instead of just reaching out and saying, hey, so wait, to confirm, did Clay, because Clay's sponsoring it, are we just not allowed? Because she took it like a step further, right?
Yeah.
And then created this. So I think there's a little bit of both. It's like beef like this always does well on LinkedIn. There's probably a little bit of like good press, bad press, who cares? Punching up because it's Clay and it's a bigger company. Like I can do that with a small guy,
Yeah, like, I get it.
Yeah. So
I think, I get it. There was probably a post from passion. I get that. The 75% of the post being a pitch on why they're better than Clay makes me think,
yes,
there's a reason you posted it.
Yes. 100%. You know what's funny? How many people do you think actually read the whole freaking thing? Because you're right. The hook is all that matters. And then they get into it. And I bet you, if you put a heat map on this freaking post, retention drops right around where we see a future where technology makes complex, because that's where my freaking, it went. I was like, all right, I'm over it.
You see all the emojis and M dashes? Was it written by AI is a question.
There's no emojis, but there are a lot
There's
of
no emojis?
There's no
you didn't
emojis.
See emojis?
There are the
like
light bulb.
The
light bulbs.
Those are very ChatGPT emojis.
Yeah, and we all know that you love the M dashes.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay. What are you doing? Oh, you're gonna know
what I'm doing.
You're gonna check.
We're gonna ask the freaking people to be. All right, here we go. Copy.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. This could have been.
Oh, all right.
What? Yeah, but sometimes if you edit it even a little bit,
Yeah.
it's AI assisted. But you know what? Who isn't? Who isn't anymore?
I mean, it is buzzword density is very high. I mean, for fuck's sake, GTM architecture, automate. That's not bad.
Point of action tools.
That's fucking AI. All right. Well.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't write stuff that's AI assisted these days?
But here's the question. Where's the revenue? Did you drive any revenue from this post?
How many leads?
The pipe.
In your pipe gen. She even about pipe gen in there. What's the pipe that came from it? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because there are people who do agree with her in the post. I mean, even Pep says like, it makes me think less of Clay right now, even though it could be untrue.
Yeah. I think Clay got so big that everyone wants to take him down too. I think it just in our hearts, we just want them to fall because that's what you do.
Okay, we're going on to our next segment, which is actually more serious than we initially thought, right? But so many golden nuggets. I get fried for not having retainer clients. That's definitely going to go in the episode description.
I don't know about that.
I still don't want retainer clients. But all right, looky. We're so excited you're here. And for the people who are only listening and not seeing your lovely face over here, we have Pep Laja. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah, I know. We're very excited. Obviously, we're going to talk about a heated topic, which honestly, Tim and I sound very passionate about it, but we're not that passionate. But there are people who are very passionate about it.
Don't say that. I'm very passionate.
You are?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't want to get discounted.
Okay. Well, I actually have a lot of questions to ask you. So what I did in preparation of this call is that I created my own little baby winter survey to ask you just questions about stuff that we've talked about in the past. But primarily the reason that you have joined us today is because a few episodes ago, kind of earlier on, like where this will be episode 12, but episode 2 to 3 to 5 or whatever, when the whole Exit 5 event application process was going on, we were kind of going back and forth in some LinkedIn posts and things like that. Now, I went to Spring for the first time this year. Loved it, by the way. I had a blast. It was great. There were actually some things that I told the Exit 5 team as well that I wanted them to steal from you guys. So there's definitely, some parallels and stuff there. But I personally love the intimate B2B events. I think, Tim, you and I talked about this too. We like the 200 people. I feel like I talk to people way more than I do at like 1,000-person event. Obviously, you're just like hanging out, a lot more hanging out time than like running. I remember going to Salesforce and I was like the Dreamforce, running from one building to another to attend a different session for like a Pardot thing. And it was more like crash course schooling than it was hanging out with my peers and learning and having someone curate that for us. But there's a lot of heat. I'm sure you guys have experienced it before, but also Exit 5 experienced it a lot more this time with having to apply to get in. And you had some thoughts. We had kind of exchanged some DMs back and forth too. Like, you should just come on and just tell me off right here on this podcast. Like, you're out of your mind. No one wants you there. Just kidding. But I also think that winter has a different approach than Exit 5, but I want to hear your thing because you want to keep it intimate. You have an application process for Spring, your conference every year. How does that work? Talk us through like the feedback, all of that good stuff, and how you guys
the price
handle
too.
That. Oh yeah, the price stuff too.
The price difference.
Yeah, so this year, 25, first time we did applications. And the reason was that the last editions, because we do roundtables, and the roundtables, for a lot of those tables, there's handmade matching of who should sit at whose table and discuss what. And many tables are like, well, here are the product marketers from 50-person companies, and here are, product marketers from 1,000-person company. Like I'm grouping them by title and company size. And then I have a spreadsheet, I'm matching people. And then I have complete randos that don't fit anywhere.
Yeah.
What the hell do you do with those? Those people will ruin everybody else's conversation because like people are, inclusive and they want, you're a weirdo, but like Sure, we'll bring you in. And also weirdo will feel left out because there's nobody else like them.
Yeah.
And so like, okay, no more weirdos. And by weirdos, I mean people that don't fit with other people in terms of their company, what the company does. You know, we had like non-profit people, we had e-commerce people, and, you know, like I don't have any e-commerce people. We're non-profit people here. And, you know, you have different problems. Yeah, sure. I mean, for like maybe recruitment and leadership, it's the same stuff. But like, if we talk about like customer acquisition or how we do product marketing, you know, so that's why we decided to do applications. Now, when we talk about, you know, we have different price point for consultants versus in-house people.
Yeah.
And so now, and this is the same for Exit 5 and et cetera, et cetera. We come to this idea of like, when a company goes to market, should they target everybody or a specific subset of the market? It's the same discussion. And of course, we make fun, oh, look at these guys. They sell to everybody. What losers. They don't know shit. Yeah. And if an event, God forbid, decides to go after a specific slice of the market, outrage. How dare they not market to everybody? You know, that's what we're talking about here. And if you're a small company like Winter, like Exit 5, like User Evidence, you have very little resources to begin with. So you cannot afford to do stuff broadly, really. You do the event for a very specific purpose. And that purpose is to get more money.
Yeah.
And not through events. Because these three companies already have a business model. Winter makes money not from events, but you know, you buy Winter the product. Same for User Evidence and so on. So if you go to SaaStr or SaaS stock, where the business model is literally events, they let everybody. I mean, that's how they make money. More tickets, yes. Of course, I don't know who buys a ticket to SaaS stock. You get it for free. But anyways, so if your business model is something else, you do this event to get more buyers for your software, for your community, for your thing. Yeah. And if non-ICPs come, they're not going to buy. None of the consultants at Spring, even I'm getting this confused. Pay for Winter. None. I mean, you had a guest on that said, oh, well, probably consultants try most of the revenue like Ahrefs. No, it's very different, dude. Like our ACV is north of $20,000. It's not $50 a month, or, you know, I don't actually know how much Ahrefs cost, but like it's cheap, right? SEO consultants buy and pay for it. Now, if I'm a product marketing consultant and I do a $3,000 project, do I spend $19K on top for Winter? Nah, you don't do that. So it's mid-market and large enterprises who buy Winter. For the most part, there are exceptions. And there are some consultants who pay for it, but we're talking less than 1% for our customer base. I am targeted in my view. And so what User Evidence is doing, you know, they're giving away their whole tickets for free even, right? Because it's all the math of us converting. I'm giving free tickets to my existing customers. So I will have evangelists in the audience who will say good things about Winter, and I will invite people that fit my ICP profile. And so first Winter we did, spring. First spring we did, we had half consultants, and we knew like they bought tickets for it. Maybe the SaaS companies would have come, but like now the tickets were sold out. We had actual limitations of how many people can fit into the venue because of, you know, fire marshal rules and whatever. And so next year we did consultants a double, and we reduced it to like, I want to say 30%. And this previous edition, we did it 2.5 times, I think was the price difference. Not that we are anti-consultant, but we are pro money.
Yeah. Which, you know, I'll say this. First of all, I appreciate the honesty, which we knew you coming on, we're only going to get that. Second, I also think there's a huge difference though between like Winter and your model and what you're shooting for, and even User Evidence. I would bucket you guys kind of here. And then with Exit 5, who then was like, their whole reason for being in the beginning was we are a community for all B2B marketers. So that's where most of the uproar, like I don't know about you, Tim, but I didn't hear as much feedback about Spring gating that and saying, hey, we're going to do applications. There were some people who grumbled about the cost or whatever, but I don't think everyone was like, oh, you know, even with User Evidence, people aren't like saying, how dare they only want in-house marketers? That is your ICP. And I think the confusion with the Exit 5 area was, well, isn't their ICP all B2B marketers? But now their model's shifting where they need the sponsors because those are the high ticket premium paying, the $100.
If you are sponsor heavy, that changes dynamics.
Yes.
Yeah.
But sponsors don't want to sell to, freelancers. Like they're selling 50K ACV products again, same idea. And so especially if their bosses are demanding, 30-day ROI, like was the event worth it? Like they want immediate pipeline, not that, consultant comes and 3 years later spreads word of mouth. That's not what they want.
Oh, so now you're making me not want consultants there.
I just think consultants are screwed. Like we're screwed for the future.
No, it's very hard because as soon as you start taking sponsor money, it's kind of an unavoidable thing. Unless you're like Salesforce, but hey, how many sponsors does Dreamforce have? So like we couldn't afford to do the event without sponsors. I mean, we would have to jack the ticket prices considerably. Yeah. I'm not sure if User Evidence's conference has sponsors. I don't know. Chili Pipers, they had sponsors.
They had sponsors.
Yeah. Why not? I mean, most companies are going to do sponsors.
Like, why wouldn't you take that?
That's why
and I think
you want the event to be self-sustainable. Like for me, the goal is break even. If I'm making $1 profit, it's a massive victory, And this last spring conference, I think we did 50K profit, which was, of course, nice because we're a bootstrap startup. Like every penny counts.
And it goes back in the next one.
Yeah, or something
exactly
else.
Right.
We're a new house.
So you have the sponsors there to make sure you don't lose money because closing sponsors is easier than selling tickets. Throwing events is very easy, like the logistics of it, very easy. Selling tickets, that's hard work. Maybe not for Dave, because if you're a community business and you have members who want to pay you money to be part of your community, they also want to meet in real life, so it's easier to sell out. So that's a valid point. Otherwise, I think you should ask Dave for
maybe we'll have him on here. He's going to be like, don't ask me, ask Dan. I'm out playing golf. Sure. I don't even mess with this.
He's out of it.
I'm doing CrossFit over here.
Do you consider, because obviously you talk a lot about the brand building, the reputation, the word of mouth aspect too. How much do you rely then? Because the interesting thing that we're seeing is like for User Evidence, for example, maybe we'll have Mark Huber on here to say his piece. He was like, we are doing 100% in-house marketers. But the 3 people we've seen who have promoted it are all consultants who have just kind of a bigger following. In your mind, when you guys are at the table and you're kind of planning it, do you in your mind kind of think of, okay, we do want, regardless of what their status is and who they are, do you consider here's a small pool of influencers or creators that we'd want there to spread the word or come or definitely attend? Do you prioritize that in your application process?
Yeah, well, I mean, our application process, we let agencies in, we didn't filter out. We only didn't let in nonprofits and B2C. Okay. That was our main filter because they don't belong anywhere.
Yeah. The weirdos. I'm so glad that the consultants aren't part of the weirdo category. Yeah, in your mind. That's great.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Influencers are a good thing because the way I look at events, it's not just, a sales engagement event for me, like my prospects, my customers pitching prospects type of thing. That's very nice if that happens. It is also marketing for the company winter. I get to take over LinkedIn for a minute. And hence, if people who are active on LinkedIn come and write about it, that's great. And sometimes it's serendipity, just lucky coincidence, and it happens. And of course, all the moderators and speakers I have, I also ask them to say things. And every event does that. So it's not enough to ask and everybody writes about it. There's people also got to feel like they want to share. It's got to be... Got to create some positive emotion in those people. And then you have people last event I had Connor Lewis, the video guy. Right?
Yeah, I
He's
love
a consultant.
him.
He made a day in his life, vlog.
Yes.
Yeah, it was so super cool. And then I had Ding, and Ding emailed me, hey, want to do a trade? I'll create some content, video content, and for a comp ticket. I said, score.
Nice.
And I didn't
Shit,
give him
I
a
should have done that. I should have messaged.
Well, you did it for free, so you're good.
I know. Stop it.
And so, yeah, I mean, Ding did a super dope video later. So like creators definitely have an edge, you know, like, and the creators need to raise their hand also and be, you know, creative with their pitch, I think. You'd be silly as an event organizer to turn down free PR, you know?
Totally. And I guess I'm a terrible creator in that regard because I don't think about like pitching.
It's weird. It's weird though.
It's weird. We're like, hey, because it's almost like, you know, it's like, hey, Pep, I'll give you exposure bucks in exchange for a free ticket. But if you know that, you know, the audience is there, I guess. I mean, I ultimately did write a post about spring, and mine was like, because everybody was like, oh, we had such a great time, whatever. And I was like, I want to do something obnoxious, you know, which is my style. And so I did that whole, like, there was a mole at spring and here's the report that was leaked or whatever. So it was, I had a lot more fun with that one. But yeah, so anyway, that's interesting. Do you think that so Exify got a lot of backlash because obviously their model's a little bit different. Do you think that it would have been different if perhaps they were like just more upfront from the beginning? I think a lot of it was like the wish-wash of like, I mean, I feel like you guys and definitely User Evidence was straight up like, this is what we're going for, because we don't want a bunch of randos or agencies or consultants or whatever over there. Because ultimately, you guys aren't the ones that are going to buy. So it's essentially, we are losing on the deal because we are giving you food and drink and party all day long.
Yeah, like my thinking was that instead of rejecting, I'm going to turn them into mini sponsors. So by raising the price, you know, there are going to be less people, you know, demand and supply and, you know, price elasticity, all that stuff. And so if there's less consultants, you get more attention. And you're, you know, you wouldn't say no to winning some business, right?
Yeah.
And so essentially, as opposed to a sponsor paying 20K, you pay 3K and you might land some, you know, PPC customers, you know, whatever it is.
Whatever. Wow, that's actually a good reframe. I did not think about that at all. But yeah, that is a good, you have less competition because not everybody's willing to pay the 3K price tag. And you obviously know you can't pitch and you don't want to. You know the elite ones.
Pitching is not really a problem. I mean, nobody wants to be pitched and everybody knows this. I think we had just last year, we had one guy who was, I don't care, I'm going to pitch.
Oh, no.
No names mentioned.
Always one that ruins it for everybody. Like, oh my gosh.
But there is some, I think, from the in-house people, like what we received in the feedback survey was that there's an like unsaid fear of getting pitched. Like if I'm talking to you over a glass of beer and you say, hey, I run a PPC agency now. Oh shit, here it comes. You know, like, even if no pitch follows, you're, you know, you feel it.
Yes.
Like you're afraid.
Yeah.
There is something about and I used to be a consultant for 10 plus years and I do events to find customers all the time.
Wow. I must be the worst business person on the planet because I just honestly, I go to events just to like fuck around and hang out with my friends and learn stuff and whatever. But I mean, I do know that some people are way more serious than I am. And so they will go
I mean,
there and pitch.
The strategy to pitching at events, networking for business goals is not, you never pitch at the event.
Yeah, you do it kind of
But you do want to talk to the right people and then you want to be just cool. Right. You have a great conversation, you share a drink or two, and you do want them to know what you do. Like there's no sales pitch, but you're a PPC guy, SEO, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then when the time comes, there's a need, top of mind, mental availability, or you can follow up after the event.
Yeah.
Like, by the way, I looked at your site and it sucks ass and I can design you know.
Yeah.
That would be a horrible pitch, but you know.
Yeah. Oh, for the right person, you know, I would laugh and I'd be like, tell me more about that.
I mean, people like to do business with people they know and like. So that is the goal of networking, to be known and liked. Yes. And the known part includes they know what you do. You're, you know,
wow.
If you're a consultant, like what kind of consulting is that?
I need to be way more strategic. That's all I'm learning from this entire conversation. Or not. Maybe it does work for me.
Maybe that's the thing.
To be just so like nonchalant but I had a blast. I told Exify they need to feed me and give me drink all day long. And they were like, Thanks for your feedback. We'll talk about it later. One other thing that I super duper loved is that after the event, we all did the we always have to take the survey. That's like, how did the event go? And my core memory, I mean, outside of just Austin's humidity and my hair not being friends, but your email, you didn't wait for let's put it in a marketing email format and send it to people. It was day 2, you'd send out the survey. The very next day, you just hit almost reply all. And it was just you wrote an email and you just sent it to all of us and said, hey, no one reviewed it. You were just this is all the stuff I'm hearing. Don't know how to solve for this. If you have ideas for this one, let me know. If you still don't know how to do that, I thought we did this. And I just love that. And for me, it's that added a human element too, where it was okay, every year it's going to change. You'll never go to the same event twice. I feel when the intimate event thing, it's even Exit 5, it'll never be like last year. This year will not be like that. Next year, they're already looking for a bigger venue because so many people want to go. It'll never be the same experience. So it was just interesting to see that. And it was almost a part of me that was I almost wish I went to the first one. Did you go to the first one, Tim? I feel like you went to everyone. You're the events guy.
I can't remember if I don't think it wasn't the first one.
You did go to the second one.
2 years in a row now.
Yeah. But, I missed the first one. I had FOMO.
You had FOMO. Yeah. And then the second one, you and Karina did that. I'm a B2B marketer. I'm blah, blah, blah. So cool videos like that. And you went in a cool video. Connor Lewis and I filmed those B2B parodies at Spring. And he's just been really slammed with work. But he just texted me before this episode and he's I'm finishing up the edits. We're gonna launch it. So you'll see a lot of the venue and maybe you guys in the background wondering why I had 16 outfit changes. Okay. I did my own one-on-one survey just for you. Okay. I'm going to rapid fire ask you 7 questions. And I'm just very excited about your takes. They're all random stuff. Okay. Number 1, you always talk about brand building and reputation and stuff on LinkedIn, right? There are people who try too hard. Okay. So I want to know, should people trauma dump on LinkedIn? Last week, there was a guy who talked about his porn addiction. Another one who said he lost custody of his kids. And that's how he started an AI company. And then someone else said something about jumping out of a plane and how it helped him create an offer when he was 15 or something. Should people trauma dump on LinkedIn?
Well, I have 2 takes on it. So one is when you're creating content, I'm thinking category entry point marketing, which is that you want to be not just known, you want to be known for something. Mm-hmm. So if I want to be known for, message test and brand measurement,
yeah,
I want to talk about those things mostly. Sometimes it's random stuff too, but mostly. And so talking about how I, crapped my pants or, puked yesterday or, whatever, doesn't help my cause here. It's not creating mental associations with those things that I want to be associated with. So in that sense, I don't want to do it. But I have to say, there is something about something to be said about being human, and doesn't need to be too personal, or TMI type of stuff. But being vulnerable, I think does make you more human. And there are some people who do it well. And I think Alina from Chili Piper writes many personal posts. And those posts help us understand her values, personal values, some of her struggles as a mother, as a woman, as a foreigner. Yeah. And maybe we like her more because of it. And so next time we want to, whatever category her product is, book more demos. We think of Chili Piper because we like her personally.
Yes. Yeah. Which makes me want to ask you a follow-up question. What category is Chili Piper? What product category?
I don't know what they call themselves. Is it demand conversion or something?
Yes,
maybe that's what they say.
Platform.
I would call it I don't even know the name. The demo, instant demo booking with SDRs.
Yeah. It's so funny. Anytime a company announces that they are shifting the product category or creating a new category and they say it, it's almost instantaneous that Anthony or I will ping each other and be like, what is this?
Marketers know categories, the buyers do not.
No.
So when we do brand tracking studies, in winter, and the question is, hey, when you think of cloud contact companies, which brands come to mind? And I saw this, customers setting up this survey. I'm not sure what a cloud contact companies. Like, I think we need to add the definition and examples, because you think it's plain obvious, you the marketer from that company. So yeah, absolutely. Like the other day I was like, what category is Slack? What's the official? I use it every day. Yeah. Like internal comms? I don't know.
Work chat.
Slack.
But that's the thing, you know, so like when I talk to companies, the first thing I'll ask them is, what is your product category? They will tell me whatever, you know, revenue generating platform or whatever. I'm like, okay, but what do your users call you? Oh, it's a video tool. I'm like, okay. And that's the answer that we need to go for, is the video tool. Okay, perfect. Should people post memes on LinkedIn in the same vein? So it's not vulnerable content. It's not, but you're like kind of jokey and you're trying to be funny. Is that adding to the credibility or relatability for you?
I think so. And again, like in any categories, like, is it done well? You know, case in point, Elena Verna.
Yes.
Yeah.
So many good memes, and not every meme is like equal hits, you know. You can't do just greatest hits, like some are gonna bomb, but so many good ones, which shows Elena has a great sense of humor. And memes by definition have to be relatable. So it's like, understands the juxtapositions, or, you know, gets growth marketing. So I think there is a time and place. If you just do memes every single day, I think it gets old. But like if you do it, you know, maybe once a week is even too many, but like every 2 weeks you do a meme. That's perfectly fine, I think.
Yeah, sprinkle them in.
Yeah, sprinkle them in. I always, my daughter says some wild stuff. So I always try to, every once in a while, once a week or twice a week, sometimes I'll post something random that she says to me. Has nothing to do with landing pages or anything or Notorious B2B or anything that we do. But I'm like, I think parents would appreciate this, because kids say some like wild things, and especially at this age where they're so honest and raw, it's just funny that we would never say that stuff to each other, but kids like just don't give a shit. They will tell you, you know, straight up. And so it's always just something that I like to put. Okay, you know, those commenting to gate, like the asset, you need to comment and get the asset. What do you think about that? What do you think about that strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the player because they're playing the game and it works. But I sure hate to be on the receiving end. And I think there's something like you have to admit defeat by actually commenting and falling for it. And like is like, especially if they make you comment that stupid word, say parrot. Or like supercharged. Like, why can't people come up with their own comment to make it more natural that you're not begging, you know? Like, just comment anything and I'll send it to you. No, what is, you know, so even if the offer, like the value prop is done well, so it's compelling, I am curious. I'm not going to fucking write that stupid word in there so everybody sees that I'm like sheep, you know? It's the same way, like polls on LinkedIn. The person who's running the poll can see how you know, was your choice. So it's like, hey, what's your revenue? Or, hey, is your like, what's your company's growth this year? And it's like, growing 50% or like declining. I'm not going to put declining 50% even if I am declining, you know, because they know. Of course, if it's like, do you like bananas or apples? It doesn't matter. But
I do polls once a week, usually just to test like where everybody's heads at, because usually my polls are a trap. So if people are answering my polls, just know it's a trap.
So then you sell it to Zoom in for a signal or play.
That's actually a good idea.
Oh my God. See, this is where I'm like, I am just not strategic. I should be doing stuff like that. But see, I post stuff all the time and I'm like, where do you think a form should be on a landing page? And everybody's like, right above the fold, before they even launch the page, let it punch them in the face. And I'm like, no.
You know, on Facebook, scammers have figured out this long time ago where they have these threads like, hey, what was the first car you ever bought? You know, one of those secret hints at the passwords. And they're mining this every week. Same as on LinkedIn. You could just be mining signals.
Yes. Like, what's the name of your first dog? That's a good one.
Trust Radius recently started making hella money by changing their business model, not charging per listings, but they're now selling, you know, intent signals, right? They're selling leads. You could get into that game where every week you post a poll, hey, who's looking for a CRM right now? And then, you know, you see everybody, and then you go to CRM companies. Hey, I got a list of 200 people looking for CRM this week.
Wow.
Hey, man, there are like 5 director level and 25 C-level people here.
Wow. You know, all I've learned from this conversation is that Pep's on level like 3,000 and I'm on like 2.
He's got like 7 businesses. I mean,
I know, but this is like, it's incredible. I'm asking questions out of jest and then actually learning that I know nothing about I don't know if you saw the Air campaign that we covered in the beginning. They hired, what's her name? Bonnie Blue, the porn star.
Porn star, yeah.
Have you seen that ad, Pep, at all?
It sounds familiar, but I'm not sure if I've seen it.
So they hired, she got famous because she's like either OnlyFans or porn star. And she was like, hey, I'll want to sleep with 1,000 guys, whatever.
She did sleep with 1,000 guys.
Oh, she did? She did do
like a month before the ad campaign came out, by the way.
And then they are a competitor of Dropbox, and their niche is like, we are, better than Dropbox for creatives. So they're very specific niche. So they kind of hit all our boxes for like niche, whatever. And then they hired her, and the whole ad is basically her saying, have you heard this? Millions of creatives are getting fucked by Dropbox. And I think it's disgusting. I love the ad. And I thought, automatically everyone would love the ad. The internet is divided and B2B is divided. But what do you think about that?
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I mean, also, most B2B is so fucking boring. Like the ads are so conservative, safe.
Yes.
It's like, oh, look at our features now with AI. Like Monday.com ads or Webflow, like so fucking boring.
Yes.
So this is not boring.
Yes.
So definitely. And here we are talking about it.
For the freaking 3rd or 4th or 5th time, I don't even know. I keep bringing it up to everybody, but guess whose ads I'm not bringing up? Yeah.
Main point of ads is to be memorable.
Yes.
And people will remember you if one condition has been met: emotion. They have to feel something. It's why all Super Bowl ads are either crybaby or funny. You need an emotion because you're spending all that money. You want to be memorable. If you make the run-of-the-mill, drink beer, nobody will remember it. So same way, I think it's very smart because it creates a memory structure in your brain. You're more likely to remember them going forward. This is also why Duolingo wins at the marketing game.
Yeah, and by the way, it got picked up by Daily Mail
in the UK.
Yeah. So I'm trying to I thought we had the number, but I thought we knew how much they paid her. It was not that much.
She said high 5 figures, so it couldn't have been
high 5 figures.
Yeah, it wasn't even 6 figures. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's not even 100K. All right.
Not even 100K. Insane.
I thought an OnlyFans. I thought it should be making more than that.
I know.
Well, maybe it was less work, Maybe we only got 10 minutes,
Someone could do that with a B2B influencer, but none of us do anything remotely near what Bonnie Blue does. Or maybe we do, and it's not just out yet,
We like to make fun of the safe, boring stuff, but how often do we do non-safe, non-boring stuff ourselves? So hard. We're also intimidated. We're not brave enough, for sure.
No, I swear. And people are like, you swear on LinkedIn? And I'm like, yeah, I swear on LinkedIn. You know why? Because I swear in real life. That is just who I am. And people are just blown away at the authentic person. I'm like, this is how we all are. But then we turn into robots, on LinkedIn or on websites. Some kind of weird buzzword devil possesses us.
Absolutely. Writing sales copy for your own services. Oh my God, you turn into a corporate drone right away.
Yeah. Okay. Chris Walker has taken a little pivot. Are you aware of his pivot?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We're friends.
Oh, okay. Perfect. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel like, I feel like that's you hit CEO, right? And you're successful. And then I feel like that's the path. The next thing is enlightenment, maybe Buddhism, maybe on a beach somewhere.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a nice and haha way to spin it. But really, as a business person, if you read any classic, how to build a business book, there's the main problem business owners have is that they're working in the business, not on the business. Mm-hmm. So the journey Chris is on is exactly this. He's learning how to be an owner, not an operator. And who makes the most money is not the founders, it's the investors. You do 1,000 times less work and you make 1,000 times more money. So that's the journey he's on.
He's playing chess. We're all playing checkers.
He's playing chess. Yeah, we're all playing checkers. He has
ownership stakes in a number of companies.
True.
why does he need to run it? I mean, Megan does a fabulous job.
Yeah.
And, so hire smart people and just collect the cash,
Yeah. I always bring it back to, again, I forget his name, Brad, the guy who's like, he's a millionaire. He sold like, what was it? Not PayPal. PayPal?
Talking about Tom, MySpace guy?
Is it? No, not Tom, MySpace guy. The guy who wants to live forever. And so he's that CEO. Brian or whatever.
Yeah, but he sells
he sells stuff too, but he doesn't need to. Because he wants to, he spends all his time just chasing increasing his lifespan. And I feel like, he's done the business thing. He's got the cash flow. And now he's like, so it's almost that existential question of, if you didn't need to worry about money, what would you be doing? There's so many people who are like
this level of becoming, they call it post-economic, and how much money that is very individual, right?
Yes.
I have buddies who say like under 100 million, they are not happy. That's their number. I'm like, how many Lambos do you need to be happy? I mean, I have 0 and I'm quite happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously there is a certain amount of money that gives you a certain level of freedom. I think if you make like 500K net per year, you can live a very nice lifestyle.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Should you be able to spend $1 million a year? Holy shit. That's
a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. And you can lease all kinds of fancy cars if that's what you're into. And so if you scale it down, like how do you measure the success of a company or of a person?
Yeah. On
a company level, I think if it's VC backed, now did the VCs make their money or not? Is it the unicorn billion plus exit or not? That's the gauge there. If you're bootstrapped, did the founder get a financial outcome that they're happy with?
Yes.
And then the dream is typically I'll get to 10 million and sell, and then that's generational wealth right there.
Yeah.
And then there is another personal level is that, am I happy doing what I'm doing? And so provided that the day-to-day financial stuff is solved, taken care of. Maybe you make 200K a year, 300K a year, and like you don't worry about how much is milk. Are the eggs more expensive? You don't care.
Yeah.
You don't know how much the eggs even cost, maybe. So then it's like, am I having fun? Am I growing? And if those things are not true, then you pivot, personal pivots, right? So agency life, and you guys might know a thing or two about it, is no walk in the park. You have to deal with clients. Oh my God. I was a consultant for 10 years, and my read is that being a consultant comes with an expiry date. If I never have to talk to a consulting customer ever again, I'm a happy man.
Yeah. I think it's different too, because, we took a lot of Anthony's advice, and then I took it one step further where like, I don't do the like retainer type. I tried it. I tried to go against his advice, and I did more like fractional the first year. And I was like, wow, this sucks. This is miserable. And now I'm like, what are all the things that I hate? I'm like, okay, I don't want to, the dopamine hits that like first 3 months when you get a deliverable done. I'm like, cool. 3-month engagements, one price. I give them a deliverable. And then I was drowning in the actual deliverables, the working in the business, not on it. And then, talk to a former client who's like, okay, just hire people out. And I was like, I don't want to hire full-time. He's like, okay, just hire contractors to help you with each part of the business. I was like, cool. And then since then it's been kind of easy going where I don't have to sit here and be like, oh, there's an emergency call or pull an emergency report. And I'm like, no. And even this week, it's like my daughter's home and I haven't had to make excuses to anybody. So that part's really nice. So I think even with the consulting thing, you can frame it in a way that's fine, but it also there are people who are like, oh, I don't know if I can do the like 3-month thing. I need that longevity of like the reoccurring.
For sure, you make hella more money because like finding customers is hard work. If you can put them on a retainer, that is how you build agencies, how you build bigger businesses. Because like if you do project based, it will always remain a small potato, and that's fine if that's what you want. But it's a deliberate choice to stay small.
Yes, absolutely that. Like I have no ambitions of like, I'm going to hit 10 million or whatever. On the Anthony, I'm sure you talk to those guys a lot with Anthony and Rob. I'm referring to Fletch PMM in case people are like, who are they talking about? They built whatever million plus, being very productized and very niche and project based. And I tried both and I was like, I like the
Well,
more
there are
productized
other
model.
things here, like, I started with an agency. My agency is still around Spiro, it's called. It's It's around 35 people.
Yeah.
And it's all retainer based, and customers pay on average, like, I want to say 15, 20K a month. And then, they get a big team with designer and developers and analysts and, the whole spiel. But that model, being, high ACV deal, creates cash flow, and that you can hire people. And as a business owner, you can take time off. You can take multiple months off. You have a team. It just keeps going. It's a business. It's not dependent on you. And agencies that are founder dependent are valued at near zero, because it's an unsellable business, and also agencies in general are a shitty business model, which is why I got out of it.
Yeah.
Well, I added other businesses on top because
you needed like
if it's a bigger agency, it generates quite a lot of cash, and you can invest that cash into new ventures. You can be your own VC, because starting a software company, it's getting cheaper, but it's still very expensive.
Yeah.
Whereas starting an agency costs nothing. You just need to know things, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And so with Winter, I started an agency, and then they added on an e-learning course business, cxl.com, and now Winter. And it's all because I started with an agency. But had I remained, I'm just Pep, I'm the conversion optimization consultant. My quality of life is so much better today because of the decisions I took 10 years ago.
Interesting.
I highly recommend doing retainers, hiring people, and you can do on-demand fractional partners, like they with your domain email addresses and all that stuff, even though they're external people. That's how, for instance, Spiro scales demand up and down, or rather supply. They land a new customer that they cannot service, but they have a network of partner freelancers that are knowledgeable, vetted, there's an existing relationship that they bring in. You own this account, and you get, X% of the monthly retainer to yourself. Yeah. I don't actually know how much. And so that's how you can quickly, add more capacity, and then downscale once the project is over, a customer churns. Whatever.
Yeah. And that's that's the small shift that I made, was the network of people who are actually better at copywriting than me, because my client was do not hire cheap talent, pay them well, add more to the cost of your service. And that's what, that's what I ended up doing. And then that works better. But yeah. Okay.
Going up market and then adding people. Those are the two things you need to do as a consultant to otherwise you're always in the hamster wheel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm screwed.
Yeah, I'm screwed. You're more retainer based though, but it requires
awesome.
Yeah, because you do have constant management. I don't necessarily do that.
But after the first 2 months, it gets a lot easier for each.
But thanks to LinkedIn, I still have I have a consistent flow of people that I can help. And I think that helps is when you have, till I'm blocked for saying fuck on there too much or whatever, that they keep telling me your comment is potentially offensive. I'm like, okay, post anyway. I'm like, yep, post it anyway.
Look around, find out, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Speaking of companies, so Builder.ai went bankrupt, huge valuation. Where was it? $1 billion. They had 435 million in funding. What do you think happened?
I don't know the inside scoop. Actually, I haven't read.
The tagline, you'll love the tagline. What was the tagline, Tim? Their tagline on their company page says it's basically the app, the website app builder for everyone. Every company and every idea.
Yeah, we're the next gen software development
application only. So basically, did they lose to Lovable and the Cursor and those guys?
It could be possible, because I've heard of Lovable and not them. But it's funny that they got so much funding. But yeah, literally their tagline says website app builder for every company and every idea on the planet.
Everyone.
A great case against the niche.
AI companies are getting funded, more than anything else right now. And also there is demand. AI companies are the only ones growing in crazy figures. Everybody else is growing slowly, if they're even growing. At SaaStock, it was 2 weeks ago, I was there. I talked to a lot of founders, and most everybody's growing 20, 30% or flat. And then you run into these AI founders, and they're growing, 6x a year, 7x a year. So there is huge demand. A huge demand, of course, means that there's huge competition, and some not everybody arms race, right? Not everybody is going to get the big and I don't know what Lovable did exactly better. Maybe their go-to-market was better. Maybe the product is better.
Now they have Elena Verna, so they're unstoppable.
Yeah, but I'm guessing this is not because of Elena. This is because of what happened years before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And then that goes into the final one, which is marketing dead because of AI now? We've seen so many. We've covered how many layoffs, how many people, CEOs announcing that they're getting rid of people because they're going to replace them with AI. What are your thoughts as
so marketing or marketers? Because, marketing is a function.
Yeah.
Marketers, yeah.
Marketers, probably.
Yeah, I think what is happening is that the barrier of entry. So I think the entry level job qualifications could go higher.
Yeah.
Because, and it's once we get these robots and damn, where are they? To sweep the floor, all the floor sweepers out of a job, right? Because the robots can do that. So now the humans, the next available job, you need to be at least an accountant. No, probably AI can do accounting pretty well too. So maybe a nuclear physicist, so you need to. So I think entry level people straight from university who don't know anything, but think they know a lot.
Yeah.
But those people I think are kind of screwed.
Yeah.
And there's probably, how many people in an organization is usually a pyramid? The CMO is at the top, and then we have, VPs and directors and the most entry-level people. But I think that bottom of the pyramid is shrinking. And maybe it's going to be a new shape or something. What is that shape called? Anybody know?
Like a tree?
Maybe it's geology. I missed those classes.
Yeah.
Paragram?
Whoa.
Anyway, so I think it is true that this is happening, but we still need the nature of the job of marketers is evolving. And some of the things, is done faster with AI. And so why would we use humans? If you guys played around with the VO3, it's still shit, but it feels like the production ready is coming soon. Right?
Yes.
I think a year from now, we might be there.
It's so funny because we have covered a couple of things that we thought were real things. And then on the show, we'll dig in deeper and we're like, oh shit, this was fake. And then we'll laugh at each other over it. And then I'm trying to think of how much that is going to happen in the future when it's already happening right now. It was at Spring this year during a roundtable I sat in, and we were kind of talking about, that was one of the topics. And we all agreed that the people in the worst spot right now are the ones who are not only entry level, but the ones that don't know what good looks like. Because we can look at an output and say, this is shit. But someone just graduating from college is like, this is great. Right?
Absolutely.
And it's the people who are able to spot it through lived experience. And that's what,
Totally. My son is 8th grade. They just did their 8th grade report presentation. So basically for the first time in their life, they had to build a slide deck, either Google's Canva or whatever.
Yeah.
Never even, they had to learn how to do it. And then they saw each other present, and whoever's slides were the jumpiest, bling, bling, bling. People are like, wow, so cool. For us, that will be max cringe.
Yes.
Nothing should fly ever in the slides, static only. But they haven't been through that curve. So the more flying, the better. So yes, taste. And you get taste through a lived experience, and also by working for somebody like your boss that has taste and is teaching you the taste.
Yes. Yeah. Or just getting your hand slapped also.
Absolutely. And I think remote world is contributing also to less taste, because it used to be that you're sitting next to, a boss that every day is showing you through even casual conversation what good looks like. And if you're far removed, you're in your own cubicle at home. Yeah. It's harder to take it all in. I think most people who are mediocre are not because their IQ is worse or something. It's because they haven't been held accountable to a better standard. And in a remote world, that's also harder and harder to communicate. I mean, I might ask for it, but like, I don't want to get on a video call again and explain again. You know. Management is definitely harder.
And how much do you learn by seeing too? You know, like the best manager I ever had, like I would sit in meetings with her. I'm not even part of the conversation, but I was like a junior analyst and I'm watching her handle like an angry, you know, person from another department. And I look at her handling that person with tact or knowing what to say. And that's a conversation I would not be part of if we were remote, because like, why would they task the junior analyst to this leadership conversation that I just happen to be sitting there taking notes? So it'd be interesting and scary for our kids.
VO3, you know, like, if you don't prompt and if you're not specific about the background and the coloring, you know, all that stuff, it can either look like a Hollywood movie or it can look like the blank AI, you know, the stock photo of today, you know, obviously cringe quality. And if you're an entry-level person, you might think that's good enough. And then, but I do love that aspect about AI is democratizing capabilities between small and big businesses. Like small businesses that weren't previously able to afford, you know, a studio, actors, all that stuff, are going to be able to ship pretty compelling stuff if they have the dedication and creativity.
Yeah, and the ideas and stuff. Yeah, and also with AI, it's so funny because it's like people ask me, I'm like, yeah, I use it all the time. But I showed Tim, like all the podcasts I've been on, everything that I've written, I've put it into these documents and trained the custom one based on me. So it knows my voice. So knows how I write, knows my POVs on things. And it's able to help me move a lot faster because it's just like another replica of me versus just me asking a random how it's working. Okay. We are at time. This was amazing. I think I learned a lot, which is actually weirdly not what this podcast is about. It's actually about maybe I thought I'd be able to make fun of a lot more things, but now I'm like, I got to rethink.
Normally there's more gossip.
There's a lot more gossip. I mean, there was some stuff and I was like, oh, we could have, you know, but now I'm like, no, you had lots of like, you had some really interesting takes and I wanted to keep digging in there. But yeah, we had some other ones like the porn guy, you know, from last time. He posted about how he's never, ever going to stop talking about porn. So, you know, he's like, dude.
Category entry points, man.
Yeah. He's like, I'm going to go back to that. I know you guys had feedback. I'm going to get entry point. No pun intended. And the biggest one was the common room versus clay thing that we didn't cover. That was a big dramatic thing. But Tim, you actually did want to get Pep's input on that one because it was about exclusivity with sponsors and events and like, do these product categories even compete with each other? Like, does clay actually compete with common room?
You know, I read that and I first saw the CEO's post and I read it and it made sense. It was written pretty eloquently, I found, and I felt sympathetic. It's like, oh yeah. Also like, fuck clay because they're big, you know, taking everybody. Yeah. People love the underdog. Yeah. And then I read Jen's comment.
Yeah. Yes.
It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I believe Jen, you know, I know her personally. So like, she's not lying. And then change my perspective on what is happening. But the CEO still might have felt that it was because of the clay thing. So her experience was authentic. The facts maybe were not. And then walking away, I still liked her and I liked clay less emotionally.
Which is so interesting, right? And it's funny because obviously Common Room almost kind of pitched their sponsorship first. And then they were like, oh, it might look better if clay sponsored us because they're bigger too. So how much of that is also playing into
they're also a clay agency, right? So it makes sense. Like you want to play your allegiances. And so I think Jen was 100% correct in everything, like to, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. We will do actually a reading of that post after you hop off because we respect your time. And thank you so much for being on here. This was the least gossip heavy, but the most like, if Notorious B2B was a learning podcast, like people are going to learn from this too. They came for the drama, stayed for the insight. Thanks.
Thank you for having me. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Pep.
Bye.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap on Notorious B2B, where we expose the nonsense and remind you that most B2B marketing is just a very expensive guessing game.
Don't and post a passive-aggressive LinkedIn poll about it. We'll still find you.
And if you have B2B drama we should cover, slide into our DMs. We accept screenshots, leaked internal memos, and questionable brand rebrands.
Until next time, keep your marketing unhinged and your LinkedIn bio free of the words growth hacker. See you later.
Later, skater.